lakh houses will be built. But they told, no, this is what we have aspired to do, and we will set up a structure. As I speak today, we have done 1.3 crore houses in the country during the period of 2016 to 2024. But it is not the numbers really. Perhaps there could be people who could aspire more. There is a PMAY2 also happening as I speak. But what is more important is the experience having got it done. I'll just give you some key facts. There were 30 data points that needed to be filled in a PMAY form for any person who is aspiring to get a house. 30 data points multiplied into 1.2 crores would be how much? Every house had 5 photographs because, as Honorable Prime Minister is very clear with Digital India, that we have to track the movement of progress. Every house had 5 photographs as it was getting built. So that's about 5 crore documentation of photograph itself. You create a structure in which all the 545 districts or plus will be tied down to one. You create a structure where bankers, the stakeholders, the beneficiary, the government of India and the state government get tied up with a scheme where the implementation will be seen from the plinth foundation level to the completion and how it brings about a change. So these are some statistics of technology merging in, of aspirations merging in, of efforts, because it was not something that the government of India was the only body which was paying it. It was the state government, it was the beneficiary, it was the bank. So arrange the finances in a manner that it works out like a well-oiled eel. But this is not the story really. The story is that the PMAY could change the lives of people. I'll just narrate a few experiences. See, once I've just told these experiences, you will see what really happened. I went to Nagaland. There's a girl who got a house. They did not. They used to stay in some shanty accommodation. That girl got a house, got a room. She completed medicine. She became a doctor. There was a Gujarati lady whom I personally interacted in Surat. Had no husband, a small boy. They had a workshop-like structure. Once the house was made, in the morning daytime, she made a self-help group. 4 or 5 women got together, started making papad and tilori it's called there. And in the night time, it used to serve as their bedroom. And that lady became an entrepreneur, earning enough not only for herself, but also for her son and for the entire group. There was this family in Madras, Chennai, with 3 brothers, got 3 PMAY residences, and actually I had gone to inquire that how come a series of houses being given in one area. So these 3 brothers opened up an entire network of housing to the extent that they could not only solve their problems, but they started teaching other people what fisheries is about, because they had a room which they could use and a rooftop which they could use as PMAY. So it is not PMAY, the housing alone, but how it gives access to opportunities. It is not a housing program, but it is a mission which enables people to transform their lives, to get access to opportunities, to make something great in life. One very important aspect of the PMAY scheme was that almost all the houses, because that was a mandatory condition, but there could be people who choose not to get married and still get a house because eligibility is there. All the houses were in the name of the women of the women owner. So it not only was given to women, but women actually then became asset owners. And women do not really get assets in the typical household. So it is not only the holding of the asset, but their inheritance apparatus changed. The way they inherit property was fundamentally changed because they were now the owners of the property and not co-owners dependent on their poor husbands. So that fundamentally transformed the way the women used to interact with the children, interact with their own household and in the larger scheme of family. Another important change it brought about was that it made a huge impact, the ENY survey says, a huge impact on the educational status and the health status of women within the household. So PMAY was a scheme which we could derive an architecture of how to change the lives of people And another very important fact about this mission was, it did not ask for your caste, did not ask for the region, did not ask for your language, did not ask for your category. It just asked whether you needed a house, and if you had a pakka house, then you were ineligible. If you did not have one, you will get a house. So it was a house which was demand driven rather than doling out schemes. You demand a house and you will get one. And very proud to say that this is the state which topped the PMOIs consistently with 17.53 lakh houses built in this state, and we did top the entire country. So kudos to the government of UP as well for having done this course. PMAY taught me the scale of operations. All the states, all the union territories, all the people, regardless of any caste, creed, language, and how technology could transform. We built modern house technology. There were 4 verticals. It was not, earlier scheme had just 22 square meter, 220 roughly as the area a house consumes in a carpet area. This was increased to 30 and was not mandatory. So Haryana government told that we will make a 451 because their people could pay better because there's the income categories there. But there were 4 types of houses. If you did not have land, you could take a multi-story. If you were in a slum, the entire slum would get transformed. If you had enough money to buy of your own but wanted government help, there was a scheme in which the banker would be given the assistance by the government of India, and you could buy your own house in any of the posh localities here, and there will be government assistance. So it also helped a lot of middle class people. And another important feature is that during the times of COVID, maximum sales were taken because people were really not sure whether life will carry them along. So they wanted to secure something of their own. And it is in this time, look at the impact of this scheme. Cement, steel, furniture, garden structures, entire sales of that period during the COVID gave this country an opportunity to invest 8 lakh crore out of this making of the houses, where people contributed their own share, and that is the economic turnaround which could help us survive as a nation and as a state, because there was a lot of economic activity happening on the housing front then. So what I was saying is that while PMAY gave me the scale, the complexities of working was waiting for me as I came to government of UP to join, and I was given this stupendous task of managing the Kumbh. Kumbh is managing complexities and coordination. Just a few figures, I'll just quote from the figures here. 15,000 crores was the investment in about 2 years' time. I think 566 projects is what we could implement. 21 departments to cooperate with and coordinate with. Government of India, state government, local people, stakeholders, all of it. About 65 crore people took dips in the Mahakumbh. About 25,000 people were deployed to sweep and keep the city clean. We had about 1,200 KLD of fecal sludge itself on an everyday basis. 7,000 cameras deployed within the Mela area and about 8,000 in the city of Prayag. So 15,000 cameras took care of that. Garbage was 17,000 metric tons being cleaned. Many cities can inundate themselves in this kind of a garbage load that we can generate as a people when all of us assemble. So that goes more like a figure. You can see that 10,000 number of institutions were there. This 4,000 figure is actually 7,000 hectares land was acquired. 25 sectors were made, and about 4 to 5 crore people were visiting on any given day, particularly on the main bathing dates. About 15 to 20 lakh people were staying in the precincts of Kumbh. The beauty is, it's a sandy plain there after this dismantling has happened. As of today, as I speak, you will find nothing of this. So a pop-up city. There I am making 1 crore houses, and here a pop-up city is coming up, a transient city coming up, a temporary city which is complete in all respects. Light, water, electricity, security, cameras. It matches to any marvel in the world. And let me tell you, the largest congregation of mankind, no Mela, no event compares even by miles apart. And to be able to manage that doesn't happen just by managerial skill. It happens with extreme coordination, a leadership like we have here today. And as I go along, just next, This is the experience that you get. And in this Kumbh, what is startling is no caste, no creed, no sect, one road, one river, the Sangam, and one date, one timing. Just imagine the feeling how faith can overcome everything, how a desire to promote and do a Mela which is not paralleled in history to be able to cater to that kind of traffic. You know, there were 2 billion hits on Instagram itself when the Mela was happening. To be able to manage that with cameras, with police personnel, 1 lakh people deployed just to manage the show. An entire city of Prayag was managing things on their own. The Mela area has been conceived. Large number of officers, a Mela Adhikari, the Urban Development Secretary, me myself, huge number of magistrates, police people, and Honorable Chief Minister made no less than 21 visits during the Mela itself. So you can imagine the kind of coordination that we had to do with railways, civil aviation, highways, food department, police department. So this is the kind of coordination that we could achieve, and this was done in 2 years' time. You can see what Prayag really got. This is the highway, the roundels next. This is the rejuvenation of Ghats, which is a permanent unit now. Next, the urban aesthetics, that has, the city was decorated with various, the digital experience, because all of it was digitally managed, because we could see movements. No incident happened where a woman was subjected to an untoward incident or anything like that. Whatever happened was managed within seconds. Reporting was so proper that people had 92% success rate, and 26 institutions of the nature of Stanford, Harvard, and others have studied how to manage this kind of an incident. Coming to comparing these two, I see that while PMAY was scale, this is more creativity, more coordination. PMAY was something that can be taken away, but this is an experience which has no parallel. So coming to the learnings that I had was that in public service, the scale is so important. If I were to become a builder today, I'll make 10, 20, 30, 50 maybe plush residences. But here we are dealing with 1.2 crore. The scale is so huge. If I was an event manager, maybe I'll manage 5,000, 10,000, 50,000 people. Managing 50, 65 crore people, 1 lakh people to report to and to work with as a team. Transporters, mobility, you name it, and it was there from management point of view. So I come to the next point. The number 1 learning is the scale of operation in public service is unparalleled. Number 2 is the scope. I'm a planner here. Tomorrow I'm an engineer. I'm looking at heritage. I go to sit with a Sadhu Baba who is not very happy with us, convince him. There is a lady who's lost, and you can't speak to her. She's speaking a language you don't know. And then to be able to coordinate that she is able to find a child. That is absolutely amazing. A lady is insisting on saying that I will take 7 dips today, and coming around each time, and then you have to manage her because she is all alone. A person coming here with just nothing, 3 दिन मुझे यहाँ रहना है, कुछ नहीं करना है. That is the kind of thing. A lady coming up to me and saying कि अब तक हमने जिंदगी में सिर्फ घर दूसरों के लिए बनाए, आपके स्कीम की वजह से हमें अपना घर मिला. These are the kind of changes that you have. So I come to my third point, the significance. The significance of what we are doing in public service is that come what you may, the contribution that you make to the society, the change that you are able to make with 1 house given, with 1 event managed properly in the nature of Kumbh or any other large event, is something that signifies a lot of tears that the people have to struggle to get a house, to be able to contribute to their dreams, and come what may, if they are able to do something better and improve their lives, you have touched upon a lot. Because it is this mission, it is these actions that probably makes one very certain that public service is the kind of service that one needs to take in order to make a change. I come to the 4th component, is satisfaction. My satisfaction is, as I sleep with a clear conscience today, I am satisfied that I could change the lives of many, many people. I could change the structures within the government and create systems to create events like this and to manage a housing program as big as this. Third is that I could perhaps become a scratch, or I could contribute something to the growth of this nation for which we work here. My advice to you people is that my principal used to say in the school, he used to quote Abraham Lincoln, that you should be proud of the place that you live in, but you should so live that the place is proud of you. This institution offers you that opportunity to be able to make a great change in the lives of people. As we stand here on the cusp of a changing nation, as we stand here in the nation's transformation, you are the kind of people who will lead from the front. And you are the people that India, a developed India of 2047, is largely based on, because your leadership will determine that you are the driving force for a nation which has changed the India that it will be. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights. I would now like to invite Vidushi Tandon, the organizer, to take over from here.
It is my privilege to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Divya Mukund, a tireless champion for girls' rights and youth empowerment across South Asia. Before we hear from her, we would like to present a short video highlighting ma'am's extraordinary journey. We are deeply honored to welcome a woman who has spent over 2 decades transforming lives through steadfast partnership and strategic action, from leading regional movements like the With Girls, Not Brides, to driving change at the Girls First Fund. She has worked tirelessly to end child marriage and help every girl realize her full potential. I invite ma'am on stage to grace and share her insights. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. I'd like to start my talk today with a short story. There was once a young man who aspired to be the most learned man in the entire world. And so accordingly, he went to a lot of different places, he accumulated a lot of degrees, he read a lot of books, and he went around the world talking about all the wisdom that he had acquired. Until one day, he met another person who told him, you can't really be the most learned person in the world until you learn the art of Zen. And to do that, you must go to the Zen master who lives high up in the mountains. The young man thought, yes, I must add this to my bouquet of knowledge. And so he went huffing and puffing up the steep mountain, and he met the Zen master on the top. And since he was really tired, he's like, Zen master, I really need to speak to you. The Zen master asked him, you look really tired, would you like a cup of tea? Yes, Zen master, that would be great, but I really have something very urgent to say to you. And even as the Zen master started making the tea, the young man started talking about all the degrees that he had accumulated. So Zen master, I already have this, this and this, but I believe I have to learn the art of Zen. So I've already read up this much. I think if I just do a little bit, if you can just tell me a little bit more, I think in so many days I should be able to complete my knowledge of Zen. And as he was talking, he suddenly noticed that the Zen master had started pouring the tea, and the tea slowly filled the cup, and it spilled over into the saucer, and from the saucer it was now going to spill over onto the table. And so, unable to contain himself, the young man said, "Stop, Zen master, the tea is going to overflow." The Zen master paused, looked at him and said, "Yes, and just like this cup of tea, unless you learn to empty your own cup, you won't be able to receive any new knowledge." So good evening. I am here today to share with you some of the experiences and amazing experiences that I have had with women across my life who have inspired me to empty my cup of tea and who through their action have created ripples in my life. The very first ripple I'd like to talk about is of a woman who used to teach in the Martiniere Girls College, which also happens to be my alma mater, Miss Chandra Cornelius. Miss Chandra Cornelius was our Hindi teacher, and we used to be really scared of her. We had nicknamed her Hitler, because when she wanted to, and she would have this steely look in your eyes and she would start scolding you, your legs would tremble. But she also had another facet to her. She was an ardent disciple of Gandhiji. And even though we had to hear a lot of lectures about Gandhiji, she was instrumental in setting up the social work wing of La Martiniere Girls College called the Gandhi Corner. And it was this experience at the Gandhi Corner that exposed me and multiple girls to our first taste of voluntary work. At the Gandhi Corner, we ran the school canteen, we organized fetes, the proceeds from this would go for charity, we would collect relief items whenever there was a humanitarian disaster, we would teach young kids from a nearby slum. And this was long before volunteering work was seen as something that you'd write on your CV or that you would put in your college application. And it was this experience which really taught me the joy of giving without expecting compensation or without expecting any recognition. And also made it come true to me that every little action counts somewhere. The next ripple I'd like to talk about is when I had started my professional working journey. I was working in Western Rajasthan with an organization called Urmul Setu Sansthan. And here we were trying to build the resilience of communities that were living in desert areas. It being a drought-prone area, our project looked at construction of rainwater harvesting structures, looking at fodder plots, looking at better horticultural practices. But the project also had one very important aim, and that was to increase women's agency. And by agency, I simply mean women's capacity and ability to take decisions for themselves in their own lives. And it was in this experience that I came across an amazing couple, Omi and Niku, which taught me something in my own life. I'd like to show you a small slice of their life and some of the changes that they were able to bring in their lives through this project.
This is the story of an ideal couple, Omi and Nikura, a couple who had been like the warp and weft of a weave. While rest of the men in the village are busy having big-time fun, Niku has been acting as a tremendous support for Omi to become the undisputed leader of the women's group. and also a Kisan Sahayak.
पहली बार ये लगे के काम को के दौर हुआ है भाई करें तो वह काम है ठीक है अगर कोई आपको कोई धंधो करे बारह से जाना तो आप कर सका आप धंधो
पहली बार निकली से दिया जाने खट रह श्या खट सो श्या खटापन खानो मिल सी भाई पहली बार जवान की तो या मन में भाई अब बस जवान खटैया कौन भाई आपने अब बीकानेर जाओ तो भाई खट रह श्या पहले लोन कर जानो तो एक कौन सा इस तो और फिर जाती तो एक लीन कौन सा सागर की लेर जाती अब फिर जानो तो एक लूट जावा लोन कर जानो तो एक लूट जावा बीकानेर जानो तो एक लूट जाओ या बैग कौन भाई अपन खड़ी डर लाग सी अपन बस को टेम उठा कोनी अपन कद टिकेट पुगा सी आगे पीछे उतार दे सी या अब डर कोनी
Omi is going out of the village and participating in Urmul Setu Sansthan's training, and Niku's handling of the household called for criticism at the village level.
किसान साहब को काम सीखने गया बीकानेर तो मैं घर को काम में संभाला मेरे बहुत खुशी हुई है फिर कुछ महीना में संगठन तो तय करो खरीद कमेटी में अम्मी रही
Thank you so much. At the end of this video, Niku says that I would often get taunted in my village. People would say, your wife goes here and there, can't you control her? And what I realized was that it was this going here and there that had truly made her educated. This story took place more than 20 years ago, but even then, reflecting on it, I realized that Omi and Niku had managed to do something magical. They had managed to subvert a norm which I had seen growing up in the urban city of Lucknow, and which I see even today, which is women bearing the brunt of managing their houses, often at the cost of their own professional and personal growth. And for me, Omi's journey really made my LSD quotient come alive for me, which I defined for myself as loving myself, having self-respect for myself, and discovering new paths. And I realized that any partner that I would choose in my life would have to be someone, therefore, that would support me in my areas of growth. The next ripple is from this year, when I was privileged to visit a computer center that's running in the district of Giridih. Giridih in Jharkhand is one of the most backward districts of our country as categorized by the government of India. And it was here that I came across Nupur, Pooja, Rupali and their friends who are running a tech center for girls in their community. They come from a context where the computer in the school is only meant to be seen, not touched. If there does happen to be a device at home, it's used by their brothers. They aren't allowed to use it. And it's this lure and this hunger for learning that made them set up this computer center. But this center is not just a place where girls are learning how to use computers or to learn basic concepts of how to make a circuit, how to make a kaleidoscope or other concepts of science. It's slowly becoming a safe space for girls to also talk about their dreams, their aspirations, to recognize that in order to make these choices, they will have to start building relationships of trust with their parents so that they're able to grow their own journeys. But this transformation in the lives of Nupur, Pooja, Rupali and their friends didn't happen automatically. They came into contact with an organization called FAT, or Feminist Approach to Technology, and they had to undergo a 1.5-year long training period for them to be equipped to run the center. And this meant, very importantly, that they had to negotiate within their home with their parents to allow them to go and stay for up to 3 months in places as far away as Manali up in the mountains and even Lucknow. They said that initially we were really scared when we went to these places. we would cry at night. But slowly, when we started experiencing new cultures, ate new kinds of foods, made new friends, we lost our fear. But one of the most important challenges and achievements that they quote today is the fact that they traveled alone. They took buses, trains, cabs, and they went from their homes to these training centers all by themselves. They are now slowly inspiring other girls in other districts of Jharkhand to also enroll in this program so that they can get trained and start tech centers of their own in their respective districts. The fact that they have been able to garner a lot of respect in their community is also obvious from the fact that they are today invited by local colleges to take sessions on good touch and bad touch with college students, which are a mix of boys and girls. So the next triple I'd like to talk about is one that is created by women and girls that we may never meet in our life, but that have a far-reaching impact on our lives. I think many of us here must be aware about the long struggle of Bhavri Devi for justice, but that struggle catalyzed for all of us sitting here today for the first time in India something called the Vishakha Guidelines in 1997, which was basically guidelines to protect women against sexual harassment in the workplace. I had the privilege of being involved in one such initiative when in 2020, the government of India decided to amend the minimum age of marriage of girls from 18 to 21. Now, on the face of it, this seems like a really progressive move because I'm sure all of us can agree that it's in girls' favor if they marry later rather than sooner. But when we started speaking to a number of girls in different parts of our vast country, we heard a lot of different perspectives and voices. Girls said, yes, this might be a good move for us to negotiate with our parents so that we can delay our marriage and at least complete our graduation. But to be honest, our lives are a little bit like the tracks of a train. The two tracks only collide when we choose somebody against the wishes of our parents. In other cases, if our parents have arranged our marriages, nobody is really going to lift a finger. And we are also very aware of the fact that almost from early childhood that we are like a burden to our parents. And so maybe if our parents have to wait till the age of 21, who knows, they might never let us be born. Girls also said that if we are considered adults at the age of 18, we can vote, we can open a bank account, we can drive, get a driving license, then why do you want to tamper this minimum age of marriage? Instead, why don't you invest in our education and in giving us decent employment, and we will be able to negotiate when, where, how, and even if we want to get married. The government of India heard these 2,500 voices that came from 20 states of India, and as of now, the act remains unchanged. I'd like to pause here and invite all of you to just fold your arms, please, just naturally. And just notice which arm is coming on top of, like, which arm is above and which arm is below. And now unfold your arms. And fold them again in a way that the arm which was earlier on top should now be below. And does that feel maybe if not uncomfortable, but a little like not our default mode, right? It's a little bit stepping outside our comfort zone. And we all know this intellectually, that learning anything new takes us out of our comfort zone. But one of the most important lessons for me has been that in order for me to navigate new learning spaces and challenges, one of the most important things that has held me in good stead is the sisterhood that I have received from various women in my life. And here I'd like to mention two special women. One is my mother. My mother was a full-time teacher. She ran the house. And growing up, I never realized this, but she gave me the privilege of having the right to play and the right to learn without the burden of any household chores. And today, when I meet scores of girls who tell me that they have to do so many household chores at home that it impacts their ability to continue with school or to get into employment, I realized how privileged I was. At a time when body shaming and body positivity were phrases that we had never heard, but that we felt, because as a gawky teenager with awkward puppy fat and acne-ridden skin, I always found real support and strength when she would look at me and say, "Oh, you're looking so beautiful." The other special person I would like to mention is my sister, who's my safe space, and somebody that I always turn to when I'm in trouble, or when I just want to brainstorm something, or somebody who pushes me on to take on new challenges. And of course, then there are those sisters that are not in our family, but that we choose as we navigate our lives. And trust me, it's magical. It's better than going to any spa and any amount of money that you would spend in your life. So do find your sisterhood. I'd like to end today with an excerpt from a poem by the American feminist Maya Angelou, who says, "We rise. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, but still, like air, I'll rise. We rise because women before us rose. We rise because girls after us are watching. We rise because ripples, when multiplied, create tides. And today I stand here grateful for the woman I was, for the woman I met, and for the women who shaped me. And for the women, that's you, who will shape what comes next. I rise, you rise, we rise." Thank you.
Thank you so much for your speech, ma'am. Now I would like to invite Alyssa Mehrotra, another lead organizer, to take over. Thank you so much.
I would now like to thank our esteemed sponsors for today's event. Memory Infinite, Talwar Tents, Flickr, Lakshmi Narayan Pannalal Jewelers, News Corridor, Born and Baked, Banaras Bananas, and Lala Jugal Kishore Jewelers. Some of them have graciously taken out time to be with us here today. I would now request our organizer, Vidushi Tandon, to kindly present a token of gratitude to our sponsors. May we please request a representative from Lakshmi Narayan Pannalal Jewelers to please come up on stage. Thank you so much, sir. Next, we request a representative from Memory Infinite to please come up on stage and accept a token of our gratitude. Thank you so much, sir. I would now request our organizer, Nitya Kapoor, to present the remaining tokens of appreciation. May we now request a representative from News Corridor to kindly come up on stage and accept a token of our gratitude. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would now request Mr. Gurjeet Chabra to come up on stage and receive a token of our appreciation. Thank you, sir. To all our sponsors, thank you once again for your constant support and generosity. Your contribution has truly made this event possible. I would now request Our Lady Principal, Mrs. A. Das, to come up on stage and say a few words.
May we please have the lights on? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. This evening has been truly memorable on so many counts, especially having three wonderful speakers. Mr. Amrit Abhijat sir, thank you so much for giving of your time. For many people seated here, you wouldn't know, but I have had the honor of teaching sir's daughters when they were here at La Martiniere. They're doing so well, and sir doing brilliantly. It comes to full circle that once when we began at La Martiniere and having you here again this evening means so much. To Ms. Mukan, who is an alumni of this institution and began her speech with how she was influenced by our very own Gandhi Corner, again, life comes full circle. And Ms. Saha, to you, when I read about you, I thought this is what I want every girl at La Martiniere to be able to do. So to all three of you, thank you for giving of your time. Thank you to Ms. Saha and Ms. Mukan for coming in from Delhi. It truly means a lot to have you here at La Martiniere Girls. And to the girls and staff of La Martiniere, I think one thing that we often underestimate is the ripple effect. Each one of us has this power, or what I may call a superpower, to help anyone and everyone that comes in our life's journey. And if we are able to do that, encourage each other, support each other, I'm sure that that effect will last not just in our homes and families, but in the city of Lucknow, in the country, and in the world over. So this evening, let us take back this very, very important power that each one of us carries, the ripple effect. And as our speakers have delved into it and how they have caused huge ripple effects in our society, may we be able to cause small ones, but will have very lasting effects throughout humanity. This evening wouldn't be possible without a large team working together. Last year, I remember speaking to Yashasvi and Lavanya, our then head girl and vice head girl, and telling them how sad I felt that we aren't able to get Tedx youth back at La Martiniere. And these two girls, like little magicians, were working behind the scene without me knowing, and then finally popped their heads into my office and said, "We have some good news for you." And I was like, "Yes, tell me." I was quite sure it would be about some sponsorship that the college required. And then they told me, "We have the license for Tedx Youth once again at La Martiniere Girls." So could I please ask Yashasvi and Lavanya to run up on stage? Come up, girls. Thank you to both these girls who truly heard me and followed through, making this evening possible for all of us here at La Martiniere Girls. It isn't easy to get a license for a school, and these two girls worked their magic. Thank you to both of you. Thank you very much. We have some schools here, children here with their escort teachers. Thank you to the principals, to the teachers who've sent you, brought you. We are truly honored that you've been able to hear what our speakers had to say, and I hope you'll take back to your schools something positive you've learned this evening. To all guests here, thank you very much for being here with us. To every member of staff, your support and giving of your best, letting the girls do everything under your leadership and your guidance creates for evenings like these. So to every one of you, thank you for your effect, your ripple effect at La Martiniere Girls College. Our estate managers and our very silent workers, our support staff, thank you for everything that you do, for all this setup day in and day out. I know it's not easy, but thank you. To all our girls from media, graphics, photography, and tech, I was telling our speakers, the girls of La Martiniere don't depend on any outsider. They do it all, and they truly do it very, very well. Thank you very much, students. To the team of 3 girls, Alaisa Mehrotra, Nitya Kapoor, and Vidushi Tandon, may I have you 3 girls on stage? And a very, very special lady, Mrs. P. Mishra. Please come up, ma'am. It was less than a month ago when I called on Miss Mishra and I told her, ma'am, you have to take on and be the lead for Tedx Youth. She just stared at me. She was very lost. I said, I'm there, but you will take the lead. And I cannot tell you what a blessing she has been working with these 3 girls, transformed our stage overnight to look like this, to create this beautiful setup, ensuring our guests were looked after and taken care of. Girls, you've done an amazing job. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, girls. Thank you, everyone, for being here at La Martiniere, former members of staff, all of you, thank you for being with us. Please join us for a cup of tea, and let us remember each one of us has the power to make a change, even though the smallest of change, but a positive change, and create a ripple effect. Thank you.
We request that the girls from La Martiniere please stay seated, ma'am, and we request that the guests start moving down. Thank you so much.